A man says he started hearing strange sounds coming from a dark room in his house late at night. At first, he thought it was nothing, just random noise, but over time, the sounds didn't stop. They seemed to be coming from the same place, so eventually he decides to check, and what he captures is difficult to explain.
¿Qué es eso?
At first, it just looks like a doll standing alone in the room, but as he gets closer, something about the scene starts to feel off, as if there might be someone else there, hidden in the darkness just behind it. Some viewers believe there's actually a person standing completely still behind the doll, almost blending into the shadows. But when the man approaches to get a better look, there's no one there. However, when the footage is reviewed more carefully, a much stranger detail begins to stand out, as it appears that something is partially covering the doll's eyes, almost like a pair of hands placed over its face. And just before the man gets close enough to see clearly, that shape seems to move. Even more unsettling, when the camera zooms in on the doll's face, the eyes appear to slightly shift position, as if they were following him. So, if there was no one else in the room, what exactly was standing behind that doll? Something disturbed the dogs. A man who owns several dogs says that every day when he returned home from work, they would run to greet him, barking, jumping, and full of energy. But recently, something changed. Almost overnight, the dogs became unusually quiet, withdrawn, and strangely lethargic, often hiding in corners and refusing to move, as if something had deeply unsettled them. Concerned, the man decided to check the security camera in the room where they sleep, and what he found is difficult to explain. Did you see it? At first, it looks like a normal sleeping scene, but then one of the dog's beds suddenly jerks forward on its own, causing the dog to jump up immediately. The movement is sharp and forceful, as if something had physically pushed it. Some viewers suggest it could be the dog shifting its weight or pushing against the bed, but others point out that the motion appears too sudden and directional for that. And considering the unusual change in the dog's behavior leading up to this, what exactly moved that bed that night? It only appears in the dark. A woman claims that after drinking several beers late at night, she started noticing something strange in the distance. At first, she thought it might just be her imagination, but the more she looked, the more it seemed like something was actually there. So, she decided to record it. And what happens next doesn't quite make sense.
Y parece que hay como una mujer con pelo largo, blanca, que nos está mirando. O sea, es re grande. Da esa impresión. Ahora te vamos. Y encima es como que cuando yo se ve re clarito como que es una mujer. No, pará. Y ahora cuando yo le pongo la luz, no es nada. Son ramas, piedras. Le saco la luz y parece una mujer. Mire.
The woman insists that what she saw was real, and that the camera captured exactly what she was experiencing in that moment. Some viewers believe this could simply be an effect caused by low light and shifting shadows in the vegetation, but others point out how defined the shape appears, and how consistently it shows up in the same spot. So, was this just a visual illusion, or Was there actually something standing out there in the dark? Something was in the kitchen. Late one night, a man says he was resting at home when he suddenly heard a strange noise coming from the kitchen. At first, he thought it might be nothing, but the sound didn't stop. Concerned that someone might have entered the house, he slowly got up and began walking toward the kitchen. So, he decides to take a closer look.
Jelas banget nih teman-teman, no, dari kamera juga ketangkap ini. Tuh, lihat tuh.
The man says that when he looked into the kitchen, he didn't see a person, but something on the floor that looked like a head covered in long hair. The shape stays low, with the hair falling over it, but it slowly sways from side to side, as if it's moving on its own. At certain moments, small parts of what looks like pale skin can be seen through the hair. Some believe it could be an object or an animal in the dark, but others aren't convinced. So, what exactly was lying there? The doll chose it. A man claims that after finding an old object near a cemetery, he decided to take it home. Shortly after that, he says strange things started happening during the night, including unexplained noises coming from inside the house. At one point, he begins recording, after noticing something unusual with a doll he had recently bought. And what happens next quickly becomes unsettling.
What the ¿Escucharon?
Aquí es muy ruidoso.
What?
Vayamos a otro lugar.
Apágate.
Perdón, no escucho bien.
Adiós.
¿Puedes repetir?
Adiós.
Adiós. Ven a jugar conmigo cuando quieras.
What the
The man insists the doll had never behaved like this before, and that the sounds only began after placing it on top of the Ouija board. In the footage, the doll can be heard saying phrases like, "Come play with me," and "It's too noisy here, let's go somewhere else."
Aquí es muy ruidoso. Ven a jugar conmigo cuando quieras.
It's unclear whether these phrases are pre-recorded or triggered somehow, but according to him, the doll had never activated on its own until that moment. So was this just a malfunctioning toy, or something reacting to what was directly beneath it? Something was happening outside. Late one night, a man says he was suddenly woken up by a strange sound coming from outside his home. At first, he tried to ignore it, but the noise kept coming back, low, repetitive, almost like someone whispering. Curious, he quietly walked to the window and pointed his phone down toward the street below. And what he captured next is hard to make sense of.
भाई रात के 12 बजे होली के टाइम पे नीचे देखो, उसने ऊपर देख लिया.
The man says he had no idea who or what was down there that night. In the footage, a figure can be seen sitting on the ground, surrounded by scattered objects, holding what appears to be a small flame. Some viewers believe it could be a person performing some kind of ritual or activity, while others are more focused on the way the figure remains there, almost completely still. So, what exactly was happening right outside his home that night? He shouldn't have opened it. Late at night, a man decides to check something inside his home. Unsure of what he might find, he grabs a stick for protection and begins recording. And what he sees is not what he expected.
Escucha, hágale suavecito. Espere. No, hágale.
The man says he wasn't expecting to see anything when he opened the attic. Some viewers believe it could be someone hiding up there. while others point out that the face looks off. So, what exactly was waiting for him in the attic that night? The silence didn't last. An elderly man had fallen asleep on the couch in his living room. At first, it was just meant to be a short nap, but when he opened his eyes again, it was already dark outside. The room was completely still, with nothing out of place. And then, something changed. The footage shows a glass sitting undisturbed on the table, before suddenly shattering on its own. Some viewers suggest it could be caused by temperature changes or internal stress in the glass, but others point out how sudden it happens, without anything touching it. So, what exactly caused that glass to break in the middle of a completely silent room? Not alone in Peru. Security cameras captured something inside a closed clothing store in Peru, in the middle of the night. The place was locked, with no one supposed to be inside. But when the footage was reviewed later, something crossed the room in a way that's hard to explain. The figure can be seen moving from one side to the other at a speed that's difficult to explain. According to the report, the store was closed and secured at the time. Some viewers believe it could be a camera glitch or a visual distortion, but others point out the shape and the way it crosses the frame with clear direction. So, what exactly moved through that store that night? Something passed unnoticed. During what seems like a completely normal workday inside a small photo studio, two employees are focused on their tasks, unaware that anything is wrong. Nothing seems out of place, until something suddenly passes behind them. So fast, it's almost impossible to process. As the footage plays back, a dark figure can be seen moving at high speed across the back of the store, right behind them. Neither of the employees reacts, as if they never noticed anything at all. The studio was open, but no one else is seen entering or leaving. And whatever that was, it moved in a way that doesn't look human. What they found inside. What you're about to see is something deeply disturbing. It was captured by a group of urban explorers, and according to them, it reveals something much darker than they expected to find. Supposedly, they entered an abandoned house, and while exploring one of the lower rooms, they came across something they couldn't fully understand. They didn't stay for long, but someone managed to capture what they saw, and it was this.
Ito na yung pinakaunang bintana dito. Pero ang ganda dito, no? Ang ganda dito. Imagine mo dito yung pinakakwartong una. Tapos may dumaan. Saan? Tingnan natin. Wala. Ang ganda dito, no? Pinakakwartong una. Dito ko naman. May dumaan. Saan?
It's unclear whether the story behind this image is real. The only thing that's known is that the explorers reportedly contacted the police shortly after leaving. And after that, nothing else was ever heard about what happened inside that house. From objects moving on their own, to figures appearing where no one should be. These videos remind us that sometimes, the camera captures things we were never meant to see. But if you think this was unsettling, there's one case that goes even further.